Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a dynamic effort lower day, but a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click like down below, be greatly appreciated. Alright, today I kind of doubled down on the speed squats, did 12 sets, didn't feel like doing any speed pulls. As I'm still holding quite a bit of water due to diet and other stuff, and it's going to be coming down over the next week, I'm still getting, a fair amount of low back pumps. Just didn't feel like doing speed pulls. Didn't feel like doing them. I get more out of speed squats, I feel like, than my speed pulls. And I'm not saying speed pulls aren't helpful. They are. But, again, trying to make sure I'm recovered, making sure everything's doing good there. And I want to add more volume back to these speed days. And I felt like just kind of doing it with squats. And I'll start working the speed pulls back in. But again, I wanted to get more speed squatting in today instead. Just what I felt like doing. And then I focused entirely on posterior chain stuff. I'm starting to really question at all how much quad work I really need to be doing anymore these days. Honestly, my deadlift and stuff is always limited by stuff on the posterior side of my body. I have massive quads. I got big quads, right? I could even cut out belt squats if I really felt like it and just do more sled dragging, and my quads would be massive from it, right? I haven't been sled dragging lately. That's one reason I've been doing the belt squats. But honestly, I've had phases where I didn't do any quad work, and I still felt like my quads at times got bigger. I could just do sled work and speed boxes if I felt like. Again, I'm a fairly wide stance squatter. Not really a big deal. Not really a big deal. And I've had clients squat over 500 pounds without doing any supplemental squat type work, right? Who are less than 200 pounds. Walk around weight, not even talking about cutting for meets. So it's just something to think about, because I do feel like a lot of it beats my tendons up. The deep squatting itself, sometimes it just makes me feel beat up, even when it's on the belt squat. I don't get the same effect from all this other stuff. I don't get the same effect from speed squats, sled drags, stuff like that. So, something to consider, although it has been a little hot lately to do the sled drags, right? It's been a little hot lately. Although, again, I might start doing them more on off days, weekends, stuff like that early in the morning. But productive session. I'm happy with today's work. Really happy with today's work. Although I can tell the lack of sled dragging and just doing the weighted walking right now, I do feel like I'm getting out of shape. I do feel like I've lost kind of my conditioning edge, and I notice it when doing speed squats like this with 30-second breaks. I definitely noticed it. Like, I noticed myself getting a little bit out of breath. So, not a good sign. I'm also, again, at a higher body weight because of the food, sodium, things like that in my diet. So it may be time to dial those things back down, which I need to. I need the scale to start moving down. As we move up on the meet, I want to be no more than 220, ideally, a week out. And I know how to cut that water. I'm going to cut that water. So we did good mornings with the safety bar today afterwards, and I just did 3 sets because I wanted to do my non-axial loading stuff. I wanted to make sure I got 5 sets of glute ham raises, 5 sets of reverse hypers. So I didn't want to go crazy overboard on these. Although, again, could be something to be said for building their work capacity back up here in the near future, right? I could build it back up. But I do need to do the good mornings, and I do feel like that my squat and my deadlift benefit from them, even though they're a higher axial loading movement. I've always benefited from them in the past. So they're definitely worth doing. Definitely worth doing. But this is what I did. Focus on the posterior chain stuff after the speed work. And I think I'm going to do a little more of it this way. Put a heavy focus on good mornings, glute ham raises, reverse hypers, and start doing a little more sled work, as again, it'll help me keep metabolic rate higher, energy turnover higher, particularly if I do some of it on the off days, get out and drag the sled a little bit. Wouldn't be a bad thing. Wouldn't be a bad thing. And get back in shape, get the extra quad work there, because it does carry over. At the end of the day, I don't worry as much about joint angle specificity with the quads for squatting. I mean, it can be possibly beneficial, but it honestly isn't that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal because as my posterior chain grows, it tends to be able to bounce me out of the bottom anyways. Plus the sleeves can help with that too. Although I've been doing all this squatting raw, you guys are seeing me hitting some over 500 with 3 different bars now recently on back squats. I also, after this, did a couple sets of hanging leg raises. I'm trying to work these back in on my lower body days. Trying to work them back in because I didn't do any for just a bit while that lat was pulled. I'm 100% healed. Again, we're deadlifting over 600 again, real clean with training maxes. So I'm in a good spot there. And it's a matter of, again, just finding the movements that work for me more and more instead of being dogmatic and saying I love an exercise, such as pull-ups or whatever, of saying, look, pull-ups aren't for everyone. I run into issues with them no matter how good I am at them and how strong I am at them, because I'm pretty damn strong at them. They're not worth it on the overuse because I've never got those overuse issues when I focused on rows. Never, ever, ever the problems I've had. All right, when I've done phases with even 20 sets of rows or more a week, which is kind of what I'm doing now. 10 sets of 2 different types of rows on upper body days. So, sticking to kind of my bread and butter lifts, the lifts that I know originally got my deadlift up into the 600s before, really got me to that crazy cambered bar squat. Which it'd be nice to get up to those sort of numbers again. It would be nice, And I felt like, again, at my last meet, my back was the issue, not my lower body. All right, I didn't have the back to follow through after the water cut and refeed. It really impacted my squatting significantly. So, we need to be focusing on these things. Posterior chain, lower back, middle back. It's where the work needs to go. It's like for my upper body triceps. Delts and pecs get work. But triceps are a much, much bigger focus for my benching. These are the things that build my lifts. Right? These are the things that build my lifts. So, that's where we need to put our focus. But yeah, did my 5 sets of glute ham raises. I didn't gain any reps here, but I left shoes on this time. I've been taking them off. I left my Chucks on. One of my many pairs of Chucks. Oh, God. I have like 4 pairs of Chucks right now. A couple of them are getting a little damaged and beat up. Like, I'm really unhappy the ones at my meet already are having issues. I suspect there may have been a knockoff that I got off Amazon due to the price, so I might need to make sure I get official Chuck Taylors like these others every time. A little side note. But, again, we added, another little bit to the range of motion doing them this way, and they were challenging. So the main thing, though, is making sure I don't do anything crazy to make my hamstrings cramp on these lower days if I'm going to keep doing the 5 sets. Because it's just like I have this love-hate relationship with the glute ham raise. It does so much for me. But sometimes the cramping. So I've got to be really careful what I do throughout the day afterwards on my lower body days. All right? But I want to win. I want to win and I want to be injury-free. All right? And this is one of the exercises that helps me do both. Okay, it helps me do both. And as much as I may hate it, I hate this exercise. What it brings to the table for me for winning is worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Again, it's become one of my staple lifts. It's a bread and butter exercise for me. It's a bread and butter exercise, and it brings so much to the table. It really does. So, I go back and forth on it. People laugh at that. That's one of my biggest things in the vlog, is going back and forth of if I want to keep doing glute ham raises or not. And you know what? I think that's beneficial to people. Do you know why? Because I think everyone who has access to one of these goes through this in their head sometimes. They go through it in their head sometimes. All right, and we finished up with the reverse hypers, and I've got these up to I think the heaviest weight I'm gonna be able to do for a while. I need to keep working on getting better at the control and the range of motion with this weight now that I've built up to it. But I feel like, again, the deadlift is climbing. And, if I were to come down to it and say, what's if we could only do, and I don't want to say this, never mind. I don't ever want to say, hey, if we could do one accessory to build a lift, what would it be? Like, that's a bad mindset, and I apologize for almost going there. Again, these ramblings are useful because it helps people understand those things. Look, if you decide there's only one accessory you ever want to do for a movement, you're stupid and you're going to get less gains and get hurt. How's that? Don't do it. Lose that mentality. However, it is a staple. If you want an exercise that will work wonders for building your deadlift and keeping you injury free, this is it. Because there's even a grip component. In fact, you've got to hold yourself up there hard when this gets heavy. Okay. It replicates much of the movement of the conventional deadlift, uses most of the same muscles, puts you into traction, and has a restorative effect and a prehab effect. Okay, so it's a prehab exercise that can still strength build and hypertrophy the muscles of the deadlift in a way that carries over. So it has tremendous carryover while helping keep you injury free. All right, great combination. So it's definitely near my top of the list. And I tell people, get a reverse hyper. Just get one. Get one. Okay, buy one. Actually, if you click on my thing, there's a link to the one that I have, usually in the products that I link in the video. So I'm not sure where that tab is in there, but it should be in the video. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.